You're the boss. Got it. Hey, everybody. How you doing? I'm with my friend Allyssa Victory. Alyssa, and I want to say, first of all, I know how she's doing. We talked. So,
Well,
so in the words of Star Wars, I will just splits with the pleasantries.
let's get to the meats, right? It's middle of the week. We're in the middle of a democratic crisis.
Yeah,
Um,
screwing. There's okay. This is we talked about this off camera, folks, but I would say this on camera. What it boils down to, the city clerk's offices, people like look like us, okay? But they're screwing with us. And there's a lot of us screwing with us going on. I'm saying, Crystal and all y'all got to knock it off. Support these folks. It's hard to run for office. Alyssa, tell your story, please.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for what you do and the platform that you provide to many of us who are running in this race and who are trying to lead the city. If y'all don't know me, I'm Allyssa Victory Villanueva. I announced my candidacy for Oakland mayor last fall, 2021, and I've been running for almost 10 months now. And our filings were supposed to close this past week, and instead the clerk's errors pushed up the filing date, basically prejudicing myself, 6 other candidates who all had appointments set after the new date. We had to rush and scramble, and now the fallout is that I have 2 signatures that the clerk's office disputed, wouldn't allow me to really challenge them, to correct them, to do anything
our lives
with this deadline. And it's caused just a massive upheaval of all the different ways every other candidate was affected. I'm still getting more reports of other candidates who only had 10 days or less to even get signatures because the clerk's office issued them nomination papers so late. So many other candidates, not even in the mayor's race, have even come forward to share that they were given wrong dates or confusing and vague information about deadlines and about filing rules. This is a travesty to justice that so many candidates, right? This is unprecedented. This is not just me. This was 6 candidates who all had our appointments to file completely taken off calendar, forced to comply within a few hours. Most of us were at work. Some of us were traveling at the time out of Oakland, and it created a huge, huge problem that was unreasonable for us to just go with the city's new deadline. The city has been completely unreasonable in providing no real resolution, no time to remedy any paper filing issues, and no real response to now the public's upset of just wanting to know what is happening, why this happened, because the deadlines were expressed to us for the last 4.5 weeks. Why were things changed at the very last possible second, creating the worst scenario for the candidates, even for the clerk's office to have to go through the stress of trying to file all of us quickly instead of at our appointments. And so it has just shown the dysfunction and chaos inside of our city hall, inside of our executive branch, the complete lack of real accountability of anyone who can weigh in, who is an expert on our government. And this is our city clerk's office. They are supposed to be the authority on our elections. They are in charge of administering fair and just elections. If they don't know something, that's fine. But it is their job to still find out, and to find out in a reasonable way and in a justified way that's fair to all candidates. That's not what's happened. I am technically fighting from off the ballot. I've been deemed unqualified to appear on this November's ballot. That is a huge shock to all of the people who've already endorsed me, who've been working with me, who've donated to me, all the people who already had events scheduled. I mean, some people still don't understand what's going on. It's because the city still will not provide any coherent response. They've certainly not responded to me or even to other candidates. I'm even hearing they're not responding to other electeds who are trying to have some transparency. Whoa. And so we're still in the midst. There's things changing kind of every hour. Again, other candidates are united in wanting to see a fair and just election. So this is a historic election cycle, but for many reasons I did not expect or plan for.
Hey, can you explain for my viewers the technical aspect of your complaint, which I think should be noted, the difference between endorsed signatures and standard?
Absolutely. For those who love the law, this is all in our city municipal codes. Oakland Municipal Code, you can Google it, find the whole code sections. But basically our election sections of our city code requires that we have nomination signatures that have to be completed on petitions. You have to verify that you are a resident, that you are registered at this address. Even the person who collects the signatures has to submit a declaration that they collected these during the nomination period. These are also in the state elections code, and these are very serious because it is the nomination signatures to qualify you for the office. I had to have a minimum of 50. I submitted 100. And I was told that all of my minimum of 50 were qualified. That is not the issue that I have raised to the city clerk. That's not the issue they have flagged with my papers. The issue is with separate signatures that are called endorser or sponsor signatures. These are in a separate section of our city code, and there's only one sentence saying that you need to collect these signatures of any Oakland residents. That is very different than the requirement to have registered voters, where you can verify their voter registration at the address they list for the nomination signatures. I submitted 11 endorser signatures. I'm supposed to have at least 10. And again, they only have to be Oakland residents, not registered voters, not with their active voter registration address, just their residential address and their signature. That is what I submitted. It came back that 3 of those signatures were deficient, so I was technically 2 under the 10 that are required. However, they were deficient because they weren't verified by the county registrar of voters. And so I wasn't given any time or space when I physically visited the clerk's office. And so I briefed this to the city attorney and to all of our other electeds. This was also sent to my complaint to the Secretary of State's elections office to review that this is city law. The city has full authority and discretion to interpret it and to understand what it says and should know what it says, and that it clearly says nowhere that these have to be registered voters or verified. So I believe that everything I submitted at my filing appointment that's already in the clerk's hands the same date as other candidates who have qualified should be deemed qualified and legally sufficient. The clerk saying these have to be verified is not supported anywhere in our city code or law. Again, the city clerk nor the city attorney's office have even responded to that issue. The city attorney's office simply sent me one case citation. When I read the case, it was clear they had not, because the case only concerns the nomination signatures.
What was the case? Can you share?
If you give me just 1 second. Again, all of these things were released at victoryforoakland.com. They're included in a formal complaint to the Secretary of State's elections office. That includes all of the emails with the briefing and the case sites to the city attorney's office. So yeah, give me just 1 second and I will pull up the case name.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when you say that the city attorney, which are lawyers, didn't read their own case they sent to you.
Yeah. And to be clear, I worked in the city attorney's office. I respect our attorneys. I was mentored by them. I was trained by them to be an attorney myself. And so it is just a bit shocking if people are just simply responding to me without actually reading the issue. And still, that's why their response is not complete, because it hasn't, actually addressed what I'm seeking for them to do, or the issue I need them to look at with the endorser signatures.
I'm going to put a very cold pall on this. They're also Black. Because they're treating you like they think you're the stupid Black person that didn't go to law school, even though you're a lawyer.
I would hope they're not treating me that way. Again, they know me. They know that I worked for them. They know that they used to supervise me. They know that I've been on this journey for a while. And so I would hope, I'm not assuming those bad intentions. Again, this is just showing kind of, again, the failure, the dysfunction, even the understaffing, to be honest, throughout our executive branch, our city clerk's office, our city attorney's office, of not getting any real response, certainly not a legal response. And so yeah, I've just put the name in the chat. Actually, I'll put it in the full comments of the case. And this is the case.
Given that, right? Aren't you curious why they would just send you? Did they actually explain why they picked that case? Did they they actually shepherdize it appropriately?
I cannot, again, often, since I work in the city attorney's office, often they may have interns or, other people who actually are doing the work and they'll just sign off on it. So I cannot explain why this was such a weak response that was completely irrelevant. But their only real substantive response was, we don't have discretion to change the deadline. We don't have discretion to accept less than the required signatures. Cited that case, which is called D'Agostino versus Superior Court. The case citation is 33 Cal App 4th 107. This is a 1995 case. This was the case the city attorneys cited to me, saying we cannot accept fewer than the required signatures. Again, this case, when I read through it, the entire case is from LA and is about nomination petition signatures that were required. LA's is completely different, requires 500. And this was someone who was missing 20 plus of those nomination petition signatures in that case. And I responded back to our city attorney's office to say, this case is actually great. It actually supports me discussing the clerk's misrepresentations of deadlines, equitable claims for relief, substantial compliance, even if you don't have all the signatures. But I said the whole case never discusses endorser signatures. It would never, because those are only required by our city's code. So why would an LA case discuss that at all?
If I may, that entire case and their use of it presumes that you didn't have enough signatures when in point of fact you did.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure if anyone has
really screwed up from the start.
I'm not sure if anyone has really read the issue and my dispute, if anyone has looked at the law I've cited to them, or if they've even looked at the law they've cited to me. And so I'm very clear what the cases say and that I am reading, that I do know what the law is and what our city code says, as well as our elections code.
Yeah, but not only do you know the law is, there's something called logic. And what they presented to you was illogical. It presumes you didn't have enough signatures when you did. And they started with, it's as if they're saying, this is how it looks to me, okay? It's like remember the Peanuts cartoons and they had the characters go wah, 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 all the T, right? It sounds like the tree, like you're going wah, 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 and they're literally not listening to you. Okay, they're not paying attention. It's almost like we're too busy to deal with this, when in point of fact, this is a gigantic issue.
It's the only issue, right? This is
national
importance about right now, but our elections, right? That will be decided in a few months. That will decide the next 4 years, 8 years, generation of our city. This is huge. And again, this is unprecedented for an era to cause issues for so many candidates. And even my issues that I've been briefing are very clear as day. The law is supporting me, and the responses I'm getting are very confusing, because it is like, are you even reading? Not listening to me, but are you reading? Are you reading the law? Are you reading the cases?
They don't care. That's one thing that's clear to me. When you care, you take action, you follow up, they call you, they have a meeting, they treat you the appropriate time. We can both agree they haven't done that.
Absolutely. I will acknowledge that our elected city attorney is apparently out of office this entire time. So again, it's been extremely challenging to even reach our leaders, to get any type of coherent response to the issues that I'm raising, not to irrelevant things that I have not asked for at all. And even the simple question of my name, right? I was prevented from using my name on the ballot by the clerks, who couldn't cite me a single law or section that supports that. I was required to submit a declaration to the city attorney for an opinion on the legality of my name appearing on the ballot. I was required to already get a city attorney opinion by another part of the executive branch. Instead, the city attorney has declined 3 times to even address the name issue. Their emails have said we don't need to. I said, how is that possible? I'm still fighting to get on the ballot. I want my name on the ballot to be my name as I asked for it. I still need to know what is the city's position, and you have to direct the clerk, who is not accepting anything I filed already.
I've known Barbara Parker since 1996. Personally, I love Barbara. Okay. But in this instance, she has a tendency to play politics with this sort of thing. And I've never said this until now. When I say this sort of thing, I mean in terms of how the law doesn't properly work either for Oakland workers or for residents under a number of different examples. And here's yet another example. And this is something that really is concerning.
Absolutely. Again, I've worked in our city attorney's office. I've worked under Barbara and been mentored by her when I was a law student. I want to see justice done. I know these are competent attorneys that have been in office for a long time, right? That are able to weigh in on this. If they are reading the actual papers or the law or the cases, the answer is clear. I must be on the ballot and justice must be served. And so it is disheartening because justice delayed is justice denied, right? I'm already being harmed by just having to take this week pause to focus on this fight instead of just campaigning, instead of keeping all of my house parties and endorsement meetings. A lot of people are not sure and they're left in limbo. People who want to support me, who want to vote for me, even people who want to invite me to their forums and all of their other events. They're not sure if I will officially be a candidate for this November, and neither am I, even though the law is clear. It's will somebody act and do their jobs? And again, Barbara is out of town right now, and I'm still hoping that the city attorney will provide a legally compliant response to all the issues that I've raised, especially to the simple issue of my name, right? Even Libby Schaff uses her name Libby on our ballot. She's been elected for 2 cycles, and before that was a council member. Her legal name is Elizabeth, right? Yep. Libby is a nickname. There is no identification or legal name documents required. There is an affidavit of how your name should appear that is required by the elections code. I submitted that, and then the clerk decided to just question me and say you have to submit a second declaration for the city attorney to weigh in on. Again, I've done that. The city attorney has now declined 3 times. I even said if I do a write-in campaign, which I still have the right to do for this election, I still have to register as a write-in candidate and still have my name confirmed as it is. I've already said all these same things to our city in emails asking, begging for any type of reasonable response. And they've said we will not even address it.
I want to ask you about a related issue regarding the time between the 12th when Crystal Sams was said to, according to Derek Sue, when he first broke this from his point of view, telling him you have to have your papers in, and he basically found out that day when it was actually supposed to be the 17th. You received similar language, right?
Absolutely. To my knowledge, every other candidate, regardless if they had issues of being qualified or filing, if they had appointments set way before, every candidate in July, when we got our nomination papers for a mayor's seat, was told that the deadline to return them was Wednesday, August 17th. It was reiterated multiple times in my appointment alone. Again, the clerk's office had 4 weeks to catch its error, to ask for someone to review, and to fix it. I'm being informed that at multiple times through July to August, other candidates called, emailed, and confirmed that the deadline was the 17th for the mayor's race. Myself and 6 other candidates had appointments scheduled for after the 12th, the week of the 15th. My appointment was for the 15th at 11 a.m. So the clerk's office scheduled those appointments, sent us confirmations. Other candidates confirmed in their declarations they've submitted in writing that they even called in August to set up new appointments that were still after the deadlines. I even have other candidates who said they called the morning of August 12th to tell the clerk they were traveling out of town, to confirm they still had their appointment for the following week and that the deadline was the 17th. Again, the clerk's office waited until the last hour to claim they realized their error or got some new interpretation. It's not clear what triggered any of this at the last hour on Friday afternoon. I was called at 2 p.m. when I was at work, right? I had to scramble to figure out how to leave my job, how to even obtain all my paperwork and documents to file that were at my house, not just with me at my job. Other candidates were in the middle of work. Other candidates were traveling. right? Other candidates couldn't answer the phone. I was told this is all we can do is contact you directly instead of like a passive email. And that's us fixing our error. It's clearly not fixed because so many people were harmed by either not being able to make the filing on Friday or having any errors, which I did not find out what my errors were until Tuesday morning, the 16th. To even challenge them, to even try to correct any issues if they needed to be corrected. And I was told when I walked into their office to find out the issue that Tuesday morning that the deadline was Friday. We're not going to accept anything else, and we've already taken you off the ballot, and you can sue us. All right. So
wait, they said that part? You can sue us?
Yes. You know, I wish I took recordings every single time I was in there. I have no reason to lie. I had witnesses when I filed and had to be subjected to unequal questioning in this affidavit issue. Absolutely, when I returned on Tuesday, he said, no, we're not going to accept anything and you can sue us. And so it seems the city is inviting litigation, which also...
Who said that to you specifically? Do you remember the name of the person?
I do not remember which specific. There's only really 2 staffers that I've dealt with in the clerk's office. They've all kind of been at the window at the same time, you know, supporting each other and whatever they're saying to me, or I guess being each other.
What this person looks like? Could you please?
I mean, all of the staff I've ever seen are Black women, to my knowledge, in our city attorney's office.
She have big hair, small hair, glasses, no glasses. What does she look like?
I'm not sure which one. I know there's only women I've seen working in the office that were there at all my appointments, that were all kind of together, grouped up whenever I came in. I cannot say specifically which one made that statement, but it seemed like everyone was like, yeah, like that's all.
I'm telling you, if someone said that to me, I'd have put that on video because I roll that way. I would put it on video right then. Okay.
I mean, well, you know, there is recording going on at City Hall anyways. I mean, it's not like once I pull out my camera, they're going to repeat those exact words. There's enough that was already witnessed, enough false statements, enough just inconsistencies in throughout what they've told other candidates to show that this office, you know, was trying to get itself out of the mess that they created and not wanting to take responsibility.
Or take a picture of them, because that's incendiary for someone to say that to you.
It is. It's frustrating, really, because our city already has so much litigation. Like, our city gets sued so much. We already take on a high battle. We already have understaffing in so many of our departments. There's no reason why you would want, as a city employee, to put the city through unnecessary litigation, to expose the city unnecessarily to litigation.
And we talked a lot about this on the phone, but I'm saying we're normalizing a behavior that to me is a child of black on black crime. When someone black who's in a professional position thinks it's okay to insult you by saying you can sue us. Let me give you an example that happened very recently here, okay, to my mother at the bank that I stopped because I'm that kind of guy, all right? My mom's be 88 October 1st. She's standing in Bank of America. She should be next. The teller, who's also African American, the manager's African American. Most of the bank staff is African American, all right? And this lady, knowing my mother's next, does not take my mother. Instead, she takes some guy who she knows. By the way, they're exchanging first. I don't care that he has a business account. My mother is older. She's been made to wait actually twice. So you know what I did? I said, you're not going to do that. And I'm standing here. That's my mother. I'm her son. She's next. I said, I banked here. I don't know how long. And I don't know what's going on with us as black folks, that we're not treating each other right. This is a new thing. My mother's next. You know what they said? Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. There's something going on with how we're starting to treat each other with unusual degrees of disrespect that then become normalized, all right, by saying, well, they're busy and all this. I don't care. You don't treat people like that where they're saying to you, oh, you can sue us. Where did she get off talking like that? I mean, you're lucky.
Yeah.
She's
I
lucky.
mean, like, well, good thing I am a civil rights attorney. And again, it doesn't matter that I was armed already with knowing the law, with knowing my rights, with knowing the process, with asking for what codes or citations they were relying on for things they were telling me and could not provide.
Codes and citations, but just politeness. Heck,
I mean, the clerks even told me that no candidates filed behind me, which was clearly untrue because many have already attested that they did. I saw it with my own eyes with them, their whole staff waiting in the hallway. I took photos with them. I have timestamps of all of those things. It's like, why would you even like deny that basic things happened that candidates filed after me, like after I was at City Hall?
This sticks in
I mean, I'm again trying to get a real legal response. They even said, we don't know about the name thing, have the city attorney weigh in. I'm trying to get the response that they even required from the city attorney. I'm trying to get anyone with competence of the law, of our elections requirements, to weigh in and make a position on especially my issues around the signatures and my name issue. Absolutely, the filing deadline is clear. Every single candidate has written public statements, talked with the press, posted on their social medias, this is what happened. We were told this date. Other people were told the same date. There's not a question. The question is, what are we going to do about it? What is the resolution? What is the remedy?
Let's get some of the, Dave Compton's one of our longtime fans, actually also investor. He says, maybe I missed your comment, but it sounds like the powers that be don't want you in public office. What do you think about that?
I think so. I mean, you bring up that there are a lot of Black people involved and that this is, a tension within our community. But there are other Black candidates on this ballot who didn't likewise have these issues. I think I'm still a bit unique in people wanting to stifle my voice, wanting to stop this campaign because I'm unapologetically Black. I've been raised in this city to do racial justice organizing. I helped author Oakland's Black New Deal in 2020. I've organized for years with the African Black Coalition and used to run its property here in East Oakland. And I am running unapologetically on addressing our racial equity disparities in this city, in the way that we do business, in the way that we provide services, in the people that we're pushing out or that we're not serving right now. And so that is a threat to the status quo. And some Black folks benefit off of that, right? Other Black candidates are not running on making such radical changes, and they're fine with that. So I think there is a difference in the type of platform and message that I bring in the vision of a different city that is being fully served, and that is being served in a common sense way that is centering our residents and our workers, not foreign companies or people who've donated to me or who are my friends, but again, running this office with real integrity. Because I'm not trying to be a politician, I'm running to be a public servant. I think that is always going to threaten people who are in this for political careers, for background deals, and who just want to even keep me from addressing the issues, right? From explaining to the public, this is how things should happen and this is not. Yes, our city does illegal things all the time. Do we want to get out of litigation or keep things going the status quo? So I absolutely know that people wanted me out the race. People wanted my voice out of this race, even in our forums and our debates, that other candidates' races will be easier if I'm not that thorn in that side, if I'm not that moral compass trying to remind our city to actually value people and our residents and not to talk about people as political pawns. So I absolutely think that I've been targeted in ways, or some of this non-response, ignorant response, or incompetence was intentional to ensure that I'm not on the ballot. But it's actually doing the opposite because more people are paying attention. More people know who I am now. More people want to support me and at least see me have a fair shot.
I just want to shoehorn this in because it's fact. Treva Reed, who is the daughter of my longtime friend Larry Reed, who got me my job with Elihu, is District 7. She's councilman, but running while she's, in her first, not even done with her first term, not even close. Lauren Taylor, who's District 6, who I might add was allowed to have his name not only on the list to run for mayor, but also to run for District 6 for re-election, and they never took it off. By contrast, Shang Tao, who I'm not endorsing, but did take her name off early on when it was on both the mayor's list and District 4 council members list for about a month. My point is this: it's against the law to have the appearance of running for two races at once. And yet they let Lauren ride this thing out. His name is still on the Nixie file right now under District 6. All right. It's still there. Yeah,
well,
it's still there.
I mean,
okay.
You just already cited several examples, right, of how there's just selective and unequal enforcement of our rules, of our laws, of who is ensuring we have integrity of our elections, that there's fairness, that we are even educating candidates about what is required and asking them to comply with the requirements. I've been asked to comply with requirements that don't even exist, that were just made up by the clerk and can't get any type of legal opinion of, hey, you have to do this or you don't. So yeah, I absolutely agree that there's just unequalness, unfairness at play, and there's many other examples of that.
Ryan says you're clearly getting the inept, quote, 8 crew, unquote, at the office, whether malicious or intention or not. You're getting screwed by people not being able to do their jobs. Sorry, this is happening or is happening to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Says,
I appreciate it.
I love the fact that you sound like a very, very educated woman. Listening to you talk, you're a person who can stand up against the odds and win. There you go.
Thank you. They picked a fight with the right one, right? I'm a civil rights attorney. My degree is concentrated in government. I'm elected to our Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, appointed to our Central Committee, and I'm elected to our California Democratic Party as an assembly delegate. And so I deal with defending our democracy and our basic election rights every single day. I was doing youth voter registration and voter rights ed all summer. Like, I've been prepared for this. I never thought I'd have to explain to our own city attorney's office and elections office what our laws are and have such a long, prolonged fight over something very simple.
But listen, I gotta ask you, that's one thing I gotta get you. You work for John Burris, okay? You know doggone well, okay, that John would say, wait a minute, he schooled the city attorney's office on the law for how many years, and you worked for him? So you guys are good. You guys are good at it, all right? You ought to be.
Absolutely, right. John Burris, his firm was the very first that I worked for my first year as a law student. That was the first job I had, being able to work with real clients and real cases. And absolutely, he's made a career suing local governments, a lot of experience with the city, for violating people's civil rights, people's constitutional rights, right? People's criminal procedural rights.
He's been a thorn in Oakland's side.
Again, been kind of that moral compass, been a thorn in the city side, because we continue to violate people's rights, right? Yep. So again, he doesn't do criminal cases. He represents individuals, represents families in their civil cases, mostly dealing with law enforcement. And so I have a large background. Again, I've worked in the city attorney's office in our labor and employment division, providing internal advice to our electeds, to our different city departments, preparing for our union contract negotiation, enforcing our city level ordinances. And I know our city charter front and back because my expertise is in government, and I've worked consistently in advising the city government since 2014.
Now, next steps. Has the state contacted the city? Have they contacted you? You filed a complaint with the state. Where is that?
Yes. So I filed a formal complaint with the state elections office. One, to exercise all options and ensure that there is transparency in the city, but also because the city is claiming, oh, this is state election law, we can't do anything, even though this is your own city elections. So I want to be clear, to have a response from the elections that still, no matter who they try to shirk responsibility onto, this is the city's job. This is the city's fault, and they have full power to rectify it. They don't need a court order. They don't need any change of the law. They don't need the election board to intervene. But I've still let everybody know what's going on. So I submitted a complaint around the issues with my signatures, the issues with my name, but also just the unfairness of the elections, and raised the fact that so many other candidates are included, right? This is not just about myself. This is about a fair election in the city of Oakland. Oakland is the main city in the state, and our state should be concerned, because whoever leads Oakland will affect the rest of our state, right? We're a large international port. Oakland affects this state's economy, this state's politics, right? The state's future. And so we have alerted our state officials at the elections office. They have contacted me. They'll continue to follow up and are continuing to look into all of the things that I submitted, They've let me know they've read some of the articles that have come out recently and are shocked just by the news reporting. So I'm going to send them even more articles and can even send them this podcast so that they understand this is beyond me. This isn't just one simple dispute, and that's not even that appropriate for just the court to weigh in on my case. But how do we correct the entire office, right, that is not doing its jobs, that cause problems for everyone involved in this election? And so that is why I submitted it to the state. That's where we're at, of them reviewing it, them having already contacted me directly, them looking at other statements and things provided by other candidates so that they can get a holistic picture of how widespread this issue is and can provide directives either on the issues themselves or let the city know you must respond and handle this yourself because this is the city's election, not the state election. That's where we're at with that complaint.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Allyssa. I was just going to say, I highly encourage everybody to call the city attorney's office at that number, 510-238-3601, and give them a piece of your mind and tell them to correct their error, put Allyssa and the other candidates whose numbers they didn't consider and names they didn't count properly on the ballot so that we have a fair election and we move on with this rather than what we have now, which is an obviously unfair situation that has harmed her and a number of other people who are, I believe, going to meet this Friday and join together in some kind of way to take action. I'm not going to release the restaurant's name because I'm not sure if they want that or not, but they are joining together. But folks, put some heat on the city attorney's office and make them put this as first priority to straighten out, because you don't want to walk into the voting booth realizing that basically for all practical purposes, your selections may have been gamed, okay? And because right now, that is a clear allegation that can be launched against the city of Oakland that they will have a difficult time disproving for a number of reasons. And I say that to the cows come home because over the course of time this year, there have been a number of instances which really make our system look bad in Oakland. And people talk about Trump. We're supposed to be all, you know what I'm saying, for democracy. Right?
Absolutely. Again, democracy is an action. We have to constantly act on it. We have to constantly protect it and defend it. And there is absolutely undemocratic behavior that happens right here in the city of Oakland. Again, this is a historic issue that we've never seen so many candidates affected. Our clerk's office has even been, known for just their excellence in these areas. So it's shocking, to have this happen, to have it happen to me, but to so many others, but then to have no real response, no moral response, like basically silence almost from our city in hopes that we'll just go away. Like, no, we're going to continue to put light on the issue. Residents, other people are continuing to demand some type of response. And why are you holding this response? Why are you delaying this long, especially when elections are serious? And I want to be very clear, because so many folks are like, why don't you just sue them? Why haven't you sued them already? Like, I'm a lawyer. I know what it takes to file lawsuits, and I know the limits of our courts and the legal process. That some of this is not anything you need a judge to tell somebody to do their jobs, right? You need a judge to provide an opinion that some part of the branch already asked you to provide, right? Some of these do not and should not require court intervention. There's not even claims really for them. And even the fact that this is so widespread and all of us kind of have different issues and different outcomes because of the same problem, the law makes it hard for us to bring joint claims. We can support each other's cases, but we'd essentially have to bring separate lawsuits, right? And have a separate decision on each of us as candidates. And that still does not address the issue of our whole system simply failing, putting this issue back onto us. And again, litigation is costly. It takes time. It's certainly taking time already away from my campaigning, right? Away from my job, away from my family, to have to focus on fighting with the city. And that's part of the strategy and part of the game. But this is not just me, but other candidates, right? So the court should be a last resort option. And it's really for disputes, right? If there's no issue, if the law is clear, why can't someone do their jobs without any cost? even to the city. Again, I don't want our city to have to go through litigation, to have to pay me out money, to have to pay attorney's fees, to have to pay court fees. That is our taxpayer dollars, right? That is irresponsible. I do not want to lead the city that way, and I'm trying to not put even the city through ridiculous process that is so clear. That's why I'm pressing still for the city attorney's office, for the secretary of state, for someone with authority to simply read what is happening, for them to use their logic and their skills, and for them to understand the law is correct as I've cited it, and they need to have the correct resolution. It doesn't require full intervention and costs and court hearings from myself and all the other candidates affected. Yes, that's still an option. And again, we've already researched and briefed a lot of the issues to the city attorney, who has provided inadequate response or just said, I won't respond at all. And that is not acceptable. And it is irresponsible to just allow the city to continue to be in legal battles and any litigation that is really unnecessary and not based on a real dispute about what the law is.
And Dave Compton says, you go, girl. I'm calling you ASAP and give my whole mind because you're an amazing person. Folks, the number's right here. Okay, if I press this button, all right, and I put this on speaker, all right, I'm calling right now. And this is the city attorney. I'm calling right now. I'm going to have them let them know this is on the public radar because we cannot allow this system, this behavior to fester. We have to stop it.
They've been getting voicemails.
Call them, folks.
Due to Alameda County's shelter-in-place order, the city attorney's office is temporarily closed and staff is working remotely. Please feel free to leave a message and we'll return your call as soon as possible. For up-to-date information about the coronavirus, please go to the Alameda County Public Health Department website at www.acphd.org. Please leave a message at the tone. When finished, you may hang up or press pound for additional options.
Hi, this is Abraham Zenny62 on YouTube, and I'm with Allyssa Victory on our show. Please reinstate her on the ballot because she got the requisite number of signatures in. She's proven it, and she's proven it legally. And please apologize to her or have someone, whoever it was, that there was a city clerk's office or was a city attorney? Both that have disrespected her and even invited her to sue the city. Okay? Sue the city. This is ridiculous, wrong, disrespectful, and I think it should be criminal myself, but hey, I don't rule the world. Probably lucky I don't. This is terrible, a terrible way to treat a person. And it's what's worse is that it's a form of black on black crime. You think I'm being incendiary? Treat her right. Stop doing this. The only way to prove me wrong is to stop your incorrect behavior of her and the other candidates. That's the only way. All right. Someone's got to do something.
I appreciate that. Y'all see how easy it? Again, none of the staff are physically at City Hall. I'm told only one or two secretary staff might be there. And a lot of folks have said they've tried to contact them and just get voicemail. But I think all of it helps just to know that, again, this is your government, right? Anyone who lives here, who does business here, who has property here is paying taxes that are funding these offices, these officials, these employees. We need our city to work fairly, to work justly, to work according to the laws that we have on the books, and to have just a basic response. Transparency. Can you answer us of what is going on? Can you explain what is happening? Can you explain why you have not provided any legal response? Can you explain why you are refusing to do any legal assessment, especially when I was required to get an opinion from them? So I really appreciate you calling. I appreciate you sharing that call to action for others. Again, I'm pursuing all options, exploring all options, have so many supporters that are helping with all the different avenues that we have going right now. But it really is, when will somebody simply wake up and look and read and do justice and do what's legal and what's right?
Yeah, I'm reminded of something that, Barry Goldwater, say what you will about him, but he said this, he became famous for the saying, extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. Okay? Extremism in defense of liberty is no vice. This is the perfect crucible within which to exercise that fact. Folks, make the calls. Let the city know that you want this handled properly so that we don't have the kind of election that makes us look like a southern state.
Absolutely. I mean, you said it. I will be speaking at Laney College next month at their Poor People's Campaign. Their whole teaching is titled Good Government, Fascism versus People Power. Right. I've let them know, well, you all invited me before this even happened, and now I'm an even better speaker and can tell people about my direct experience with undemocratic elections, being pushed out, and trying to have things orchestrated against me in this cycle. And yes, it was all Black and Asian identified candidates that were deemed disqualified from this ballot and that had appointments that were prejudiced by the city clerk's deadline. It's many people of color, and that also should let us know that simply having a city where everyone looks like us doesn't always mean that it's going to be a justified place. That is still about what are people's track records, what are people's principles, what are their values, and are they committed to actual justice, or we just share identity and skin color?
The city of Oakland has a long history of pushing out Black professionals and treating us inappropriately, us versus us. I remember when I started working as an intern in the Office of Economic Development, this was 1987 out of Cal. And Gene Morris, who used to talk, he said, Zinni, you got three problems. You're young. He's Black. He's young, gifted, and Black. Okay? Okay. And then I remember I wanted to do I wanted to have the legislative documents that we would get. And there's a woman that handled them, Harriet, and Harriet wasn't doing anything with them. And I wanted to have, this is important to the city. And I was proud to work for the city of Oakland. I was proud that Pat Cashman hired me to work for the city. It was a calling to me to work for the city of Oakland. For a whole host of reasons I could talk for an hour about, but we don't have that kind of time on your behalf. When she gave them to me, she said, here, of course you can tell we don't like smart people around here. All right? So we have a history of this in Oakland that we have to talk about. We really do. I mean, because this is way too far, and Black folks have to stop treating Black folks like this in Oakland. I can tick it off example after example after example after example. They'll fill a book.
Yeah. It's kind of one of those things where like everyone knows it's a problem or everyone knows what's happening, but then no one will like do the right thing or force the right thing. So many candidates from past election cycles have reached out to me to share that similar things happened with the clerk's office, disputing one or two signatures or claiming they weren't qualified or that they wouldn't accept any filings, issues around deadlines. So this has happened not just in this election cycle, not just for the mayor's race, but in other previous years for other elections. And everyone who has reached out about prior candidate issues were Black in this city. So I absolutely see the pattern and see the trend, right? I'm running to be the first Black woman mayor. Like it is clear why we haven't had a Black woman mayor yet, if this is our experience, even trying to get on the ballot, even trying to run an unapologetic campaign that is talking about racial justice issues. So it's absolutely an issue that's permeated our city, not just this year, but in past cycles and years. And again, just having Black staff doesn't necessarily even change just the unaccountability structures with how our government is run, how people are being transparent with each other inside of City Hall. Again, I'm hearing even council members are not getting any response from the city attorney, have requested information about what's happening and what response they're giving to me. I've now released information and they're saying they were told different things, different positions. So more information will continue to come out about all parts of this executive branch in our city electeds and leaders who are controlling this election. I'm just hearing even more concerns, more complaints. We're hearing about candidate Albert Owens. I just want to lift him up. He's the Black man who was unhoused running his race. I saw him at our forum.
He's on our show later tonight.
Oh, great. Yeah. I saw him maybe at our last forum and he was so heartbroken and distraught letting us know that the clerk wouldn't let him even pull nomination papers and he was going to have to be a write-in. Then hearing he was given nomination papers 10 days before the deadline and not able to really collect and do all the work he needed to do like other candidates. So again, everyone's experience that is coming forth, that is sharing more details and facts of what happened is just even more alarming, more shocking. Just again, want to send just love. And I see you all to Derek Sue, to Elbert Owens, to MJ Carter. I feel you. I'm in a similar position. And again, I'm trying to shine light on the overall issue and failures within our city hall.
Yeah. Come on, we'll have you back again.
Yes.
Very
so yeah,
soon.
thank you again for having me. You're the first person to interview me and talk to me since I filed my complaints and to discuss some of the specific legal citations that I've been working with in the city attorney's office, and that now the city attorney is just completely unresponsive. So again, appreciate you for inviting me, to giving me a space, for being the first to really talk about this with all the other candidates who started to raise the red flag of, hey, this is what's going on, like even on Friday. And so again, it's important for our public to have that transparency, to have this platform to hear from us when other people don't want to read what we're submitting and don't want to listen to the issues we're trying to raise.
Yeah,
Because if it's a problem now, it will continue to be a problem if we do not address it and have accountability in our city.
Yeah, credit where credit deserved. Derek Sue, also a Zenny 62 media blogger, he broke this story 9 days ago. Okay, he was the first to put out anything about it, but the way they treat it is, well, you're homeless and it doesn't matter.
It absolutely does. Derek was the very first person.
Yeah.
To file his intent to run for this seat in 2019. Yep. I thought before I even really met Derek and talked to him, I saw him campaigning. He was the first one to even have business cards saying I'm a candidate for mayor, to have his Facebook page, to be doing his blogs and messaging that he was running. And he's, had such an important experience and angle of being unhoused while running. And that's how serious our city is in crisis right now. We have multiple homeless candidates who have risen up, who've run and who decided to run years ago and have been doing this work. So I'm heard about, 10 months going on this fight and having planned for this, but I know that Derek has been out there, was the very first person, and has, constantly faced that type of disrespect of not being invited to candidate forums or to any panels or to endorsements because he's unhoused. And that is a reflection, sickly, of how we treat our unhoused community as well, who are voters, who are taxpayers, who are workers in this city, and who are trying to lead the city.
And did you hear his encampment is shut down now? So he's had a very bad day.
Oh my! Yeah. Derek, if you're listening, I will call you once I'm out of my next call. I do want to know if there's immediate ways I can support, and I have served Derek's encampment as well as others with food, hygiene supplies. Please let me know how I can support, and I will call you later today.
Yeah, God bless you, and God bless the United States of America, and God bless Oakland. Oakland needs to be blessed.
Yes.
Oh my Lord, like more than holy water, I mean, a holy tidal wave. Oh my God.
Absolutely, right. Just want justice.
I'll close you out. Hey everybody, thank you, and thank everybody for connecting. We'll be back later. Subscribe to Zenny 62, bookmark oaklandnewsnowblog.com. That ends this broadcast. So let's stick around.